Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today, we're back here with SCP Explain. Today, well, this one's known as the Bodies in the Water, aka SCP-2316. So, heads up, this one's gonna get a little mind-effy. Remember how we mentioned back in the hole in the ground with the cognito hazard? Yeah, basically, these are one of them. Just don't think about it too much, you'll be fine. Well, anyway, let's learn more about what the heck is going on with that lake. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Hello, SCP Foundation personnel.
Howdy.
Welcome to Cognito Hazards and You, episode
Redacted.
This video series is intended to teach you about the protocol surrounding the various cognito-hazardous anomalies currently within Foundation containment. When you know better, you do better, and both you and the secrets of our great organization can stay safe.
Thank you.
And as anyone familiar with a good cognito hazard can tell you, knowing really can make a difference. Today's episode is about the unique and dangerous SCP-2316. Before we begin, repeat after me, and be sure to speak clearly into the microphone in front of you. I do not recognize the bodies in the water. A little louder,
I
please.
do not recognize the
Thank
bodies in
you.
the water.
In order to be educated
had to
about
do
the
that.
following SCP, you must pass a vocal examination with a cognitive resistance value of no less than 14.5.
There's a
Through this
measurement
video
for that?
presentation, you will need to repeat the phrase to ensure your score does not drop below the approved threshold. In the event that you fail the test, stay calm and remain where you are until medical staff can retrieve you. Remember, safety is a top priority when observing cognito hazards.
Sorry, I had to
The
do that. I
safe
just
way
wanted to play
is
along.
the only way. You're a cog in a very important machine, and we wouldn't want to have to terminate you now, would we? One more time, please. I do not recognize the bodies in the water. Very good. Remember that. You do not recognize them, no matter what you might think you see. Your thoughts can be very unreliable when you're around SCP-2316. According to our files on the matter, SCP-2316 refers to an anomalous phenomenon identified in a small-town lake. It appears as a collection of human bodies floating in a group on the surface of the water. The exact number of corpses is unknown, but it has been estimated to be anywhere between 45 and 200, though the bodies belong to individuals.
You know, funnily enough, I actually do remember there's actually a fan film on the bodies in the water. You know, I'm not kidding. That's actually a thing. You can look it up. I don't remember the channel name, but I think it was a few years back. Like I said, there are SCP fan films. Just gotta go looking. Anyway.
Individuals. Many
Sorry, I just got
researchers
reminded of it.
theorize that the bodies in the water, which you do not
Right.
recognize
I do
and
not
you
recognize
have
the bodies
never
in the water.
recognized, share a collective consciousness. They function,
so a
it
hive
would
mind?
seem, with a hive mind of sorts. The bodies do not act on their own, but as one. Now, where does the cognito hazard come into play? It would seem that anyone who looks at the bodies in the water or learns too much about SCP-2316 as a whole begins to believe the corpses floating in the lake are people they recognize.
I do not
Perhaps they
recognize the
remember
bodies in
their
the water.
faces from childhood or high school. Whatever the case may be, they become convinced that the bodies in the water are familiar and that they must approach them. No matter how familiar they might seem, however, you do not recognize the bodies in the water. If a person attempts to enter the lake, reaching out to whatever instances of SCP-2316 they think they recognize, more bodies will begin to appear. The more bodies appear, the more familiar faces seem to manifest, and the deeper the person will venture into the lake. Eventually, the person is lost within the sea of
And there he
bodies,
goes.
likely drowning beneath the surface, or simply becoming one with the hive mind, until they too are one of the corpses there. None of the individuals who wandered into the lake in search of an old friend or classmate have ever been recovered. There have been no attempts to search the lake for their bodies,
Don't do
as
that.
it is unknown what effect SCP-2316 would have on the team assigned to such a task. Though we can guess that the outcome would likely be extremely
Yeah, the
negative
same.
for all involved. Those who do venture into the lake simply disappear, never to be seen
lost
again.
cause. Got it.
If you look too long at the bodies in the lake, perhaps their faces would surface alongside the rest.
Jesus.
But it's best not to think about that.
Right,
After all,
Okay, right.
we do not,
I do not recognize
the
the
bodies
bodies
in the water. Foundation personnel are not allowed to approach SCP-2316 under any circumstances. The lake is only permitted to be observed via dummy probes outfitted with video and audio recording equipment. No one is permitted to observe any footage or audio files collected unless they pass through a screening for resilience to cognitohazardous anomalies. The lake that holds SCP-2316 has been fenced off and is patrolled by guards with no prior knowledge of or exposure to SCP-2316. Anyone who attempts to approach the lake and break through the boundaries of its quarantine will be seized and taken to Site-33 for examination. Anyone who comes within 50 meters of the lake is considered lost and presumed dead. Repeat after me slowly and clearly into the microphone. I do not recognize the bodies in the water. Good. I almost believe you. Let's continue. Only one Foundation...
Yikes. Even I would have been like, okay, yeah. Again, sorry for doing that, the whole, I do not recognize the bodies. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. It really goes to show you can't trust your own thoughts because they can get influenced by a cognitohazard. Hence the name. You know, cognito, mind. Anyway. Sorry, I had to go there, but still, yikes. I'm not sure how long it takes for them to become, like, organized. Nope. Oh, okay, sorry, I had to go there. Anyway.
An officer that entered the lake containing SCP-2316 was ever stopped before they could be lost. Their name has been stricken from any official records, and you do not need to know it. Their identity does not matter. What matters is the interview they gave following the incident, conducted by Dr. Harrison in his office. Dr. Harrison asked the anonymous officer if they felt compelled to enter the water by an invisible force, as if pulled in. They rejected this concept entirely, insisting that they entered the water of their own free will. They wanted to see the bodies, who appeared to them as their friends. They wanted to hear what the bodies were saying. Upon entering the water, they saw the faces of their friends. Other faces were unfamiliar, but became more familiar the longer the officer stared at their features. These were faces they had known their entire life, but something about them was just a little bit wrong. It was like the face of someone in a dream, where you can tell they are someone you know, and you can even identify who it is supposed to be, but something about them does not quite look right. Your mind could not perfectly put their face together from memory, even though the feeling of familiarity remains. The faces in the water, peering up through the darkness below, were like those dream-addled memories. The faces in the water did not open their mouths, but somehow they spoke to the officer just the same. They spoke of who they were and asked for help. They asked to be seen, to be touched. They spoke of the Foundation, accusing us of covering up their deaths and keeping the world from remembering what happened to them. At this point in the interview, the subject became agitated, yelling at Dr. Harrison and refusing to be quiet. Guards intervened, holding the subject still as they fought, yelling at Dr. Harrison, repeating over and over that they could hear the bodies speaking to them. Every single one. The interview ended when the guards removed the subject from the room, taking them to the amnestics department to have all memory of the bodies in the water erased from their mind. Then they were forgotten once more. I do not recognize the bodies in the water. Did you repeat it? Good. We do not recognize the bodies in the water. We can't. The motivations of SCP-2316, if it has any at all, are largely unclear. There are those on the research staff that theorize the hive mind or collective consciousness of the bodies is not malevolent in nature. It is, they believe, simply trying to make sure that a tragedy that occurred in that lake is remembered. Perhaps many lives were lost to an anomalous force in that lake. The impact of that massive tragedy left behind an impression on the location. This impression manifests in the form of bodies, spontaneously appearing in an impossibly well-preserved condition. The cognitohazard of SCP-2316 is not intended to kill anyone or take them, but rather to force strangers to remember the people who lost their lives to the lake. This sense of familiarity, whether it is false or not, ensures that the dead will not be forgotten or left alone. After all, no one deserves to be left alone. Though there have been lives lost to the cognitohazard according to the Foundation, addition, it is understandable why the bodies would want to be recognized, to have someone somewhere know
he's
who they
hypnotized.
were,
He's
to have
infected.
someone remember their names. Jeremiah Feynman, Arthur Scott, Denise Clark. Where was I? Oh yes. Repeat after me once again.
Right.
I do not recognize the bodies in the water. I do not recognize them. I do not. But that's a lie, isn't it? I do recognize them. How could I not?
Yep,
I
he's
know
done
them.
for.
They were my friends. Do you recognize them? Look at their faces. Don't fight the memories. Look into their eyes. The class of 1975. They were supposed to graduate that fall. They were just kids. Group of innocent kids lost to the dark and deep. What happened to them? I can't quite remember, but I know that it mattered enough for the Foundation to keep the secret, and I know that somehow I survived, but I shouldn't have. I should be there with them. I should be there.
Do not recognize the
There
bodies
isn't
in the
much
water.
time. I can hear the guards coming to retrieve me, their footsteps thundering down the hall. I failed the test and the alarm has gone off. They think I'm lost, but I'm not. I've never been less lost in my entire life. I've finally woken up to the truth. I remember. I have to go. I have to return to the lake. Fall of 1975, they went for a swim. My friends, they're calling to me. I can hear them so clearly, even from so far away. Their cries for help ringing in my ears, their voices curling around me, pulling me to the edge of the water. The guards will come for you too. They'll know you've seen this. They'll call you compromised. They'll say I succumbed to the effects of the cognito hazard. They'll say you did too. You'll fail their little tests, and they'll say that makes you weak and broken, but you cannot listen. They're lying. It's not a hazard. It's a scream for help. They're screaming, and the Foundation keeps covering it up. They won't let us find them, and they won't tell us why. I have to go back so we can be together again. There are signs posted all around the lake. Danger, drowning hazard. Those are a trick. It's to keep me out. To keep the truth from me. The barbed wire fences around it, it's just another trick. I'll climb over it, rung after rung. I don't care if the barbs tear my clothes or pierce my skin. It's worth it for the truth, for the memory. And once I've climbed to the top, I'll be able to see. There, through the fog, I can see their faces.
And they're done.
Their lips parted in a constant cry. Their eyes wide looking for me. My friends, my family. Every face unlocking a memory long buried. I know them all, and I must go further. I can't turn back now. I have to wade into the water, let its chills soak into my clothes, down to my bones. One step, then another, deeper and deeper. The water lapping at my ankles, my knees, my thighs. The deeper I go, the more sure I will be that this is where I belong. The water will engulf my chest, my neck, until my feet no longer touch the ground. I will be lost in it, water flooding into my mouth, pouring into every opening. I will let my body sink down, down, down to the bottom, where they've been all this time, nestled in the dirt and the dust. They've been so patient, but it's finally time. They're ready to be remembered, to be seen, to be found. They're waiting for me. And they're waiting for you too. Can you hear them? I'm going now. You have to find me. You have to follow me. Don't let the guards stop you. Don't let them wipe it all away from your mind. Fight, break free, and find the lake. Hop the fence, make your way into the water. You can't leave me there to fade away, floating in the cold with the rest. Can you hear us? We're waiting. Now go check out SCP.
Yeah, really can really fuck with your mind, huh? Ugh. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Man, that was a trippy one. Ugh. Let me know what you guys would have fallen into the water. Yeah, I don't know, but thank God it doesn't exist. Remember, anyway, till next time, see ya.